Welcome to the final block of the development phase of the Strength and Power unit for your athletic development program. As is the last phase, some of the exercises will be similar and won't be ones that you've done before, but some of them are new. So practice at home. We have some variations. If you have weight, if you have dumbbells, if you have a barbell, and if you don't, then we have some strategies that you can adopt to get some strength adaptations. So the first exercise, I call it a loaded squat. Now there's many ways to load, as I just mentioned. So the first one, we'd have a bodyweight squat. So you can use a bench behind you as a reference point. And we're looking for a good pattern. We're looking for, so the weight is, when you stand up tall, the weight is over your midfoot, and then as you sit back, the weight should transfer back to your heels. That encourage you to sit back into the motion. Have something behind you as a reference point. If you need to, if you feel you need that stability, and you're doing a 4 count down, right? So we'll go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then pop back up on one count, and then do the same again. Yeah, that's perfect. Now come away from that. So if you don't have weight, again, just an example, if you don't have weight, obviously we'd like you to start loading a little bit now if the technique is very good. Yeah, so off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come up again. It's better without the bench if possible, if you feel like you have the stability, because it encourages the body to be able to absorb force and then generate force back up. Okay, let's go on to if we have some weight. So the first one option here is goblet squat. Again, you can use the bench. We're going to go away from the bench for now, right? So we're going to go away from the bench and assume that you can do a goblet squat without the bench. But again, encourage that kind of glute back, if you like, sitting into it, and the weight going back towards the heels, looking forward and chest up. Keep the weight really close to your body. That allows the center of mass to be right underneath you as opposed to being out in front. That all makes a lot of difference. So off we go. Sitting back into it. Now the count is just a 3 count now. It's not a 4 count anymore because we have some weight. So it's 1, 2, 3 down and back up again. Quite a rhythmic kind of tempo, if you like. So off you go again. 1, 2, 3. Not too slow down, but sure you get that good range in the movement. Yeah, off we go. So squat down. You keep going while we're talking through it. So sitting back. So it's perfect. Yeah, sitting back. So good technique. Posture is nice and tall. Chest is upright, and your eyes are looking forward. That's what we want. Okay, and the other option then, if you at home, if you have 2 dumbbells and you will like the front squat, slightly different loading pattern here where the weight distributed throughout the body. You want to keep the dumbbells close to the chest or to the shoulders. Again, that's center mass. You want it to try and over yourself, not too far out in front, and then get into the same pattern again. So squatting down, good, perfect. So there's a few options at home, whatever you feel is the most appropriate for you, but we're on the last phase now, so try and load it if you can. As long as the technique is good, that's absolutely fun. If you don't have weight, look, not everyone has a luxury of having weights at home, but you can load it through the tempo, as we mentioned, or anything at all. If you want to grab something a little bit heavy across your chest, you can do the same thing. Goblet squat doesn't have to be represented in a dumbbell. There are other options to try and load it, but because it's the last block of the phase, we'd like you to get some load through the body if we can. Okay, the next one is a walking lunge. So again, we'll do this with weight. Again, if you don't have weight, do the tempo or try and manufacture some weight at home. Starting position here is very important. Often the common error is starting too narrow, and then when you step forward, it's kind of a stability exercise. So make sure you've nice and wide base of support, then step out in front, and then drop in the knee at the back as you walk. So it's a walk and lunge, so keep going, walk into it, keep going, good. Yep. Yeah, and turn around and come back. Just make sure you see the way he was going through there, he kind of narrowed up his stance. Keep that wide base of support, not too wide, but keep that hip width apart. Yeah, and down, and then come out of it. Yeah, stepping into it. And there's a few ways to do this. That's great. So there's a few ways to do this. Obviously, we'd like you to go into the walking lunge where you're coming out of it and all that, but you can step into it, control the motion, and then come out, get your stability, and then go again if you want to. If you want to take some of the momentum out of it, it's up to you at home. Okay. Now there are the first 2 exercises. We're going to a posterior chain, right? So Nordics, you will have heard these before. Quite a difficult exercise to do if you haven't done before. A few of the problems with Nordics is the range people get to, or the arching of the spine. But for stimulation through the hamstrings, it's quite a good exercise for that. So we're going to demonstrate here how we do Nordics. I mean, you can grab your ankles into something at home like this, or sometimes there's a curb or anything, but the best way here is to have a partner, or if you have a Nordic machine or something at home, fantastic. But we're going to partner up and just show you how you can do it. Have something soft in your knees. You're okay on the floor like this? Yeah, you good? Okay, so I'm just going to grab at the ankles really, and I'm just going to put some force down the floor, nothing too much. And so we're just going to fall forward, keeping that good posture from the hips, knee and shoulders. I may have to push down a little bit. That's good, and he falls to the floor. Now just protect yourself as you hit the floor. You don't have to go all the way. You can put out your hands if you want to, but obviously he's done these before. Just make sure there's a good line as you just come up again. So imagine I'm holding on. You maintain this good line throughout the posture, throughout the movement. So sometimes people bow forward like this, or overemphasize the hip, one or the other, and they don't get. So you want to keep that nice straight, like a plank position almost, if you like, but with the knees now bent. Make sure you keep that posture as you go down into the movement. So we'll just do one more. There's only 2 repetitions on this because these can be quite sore on the hamstrings the next day. So we're building up and we're adding on to the next phase also. So it's an introduction to Nordics if you haven't done them before. Someone needs to hold your feet, control the motion, and then when you feel you have to catch yourself, go and catch yourself. The idea was to try and keep the tension throughout the whole thing. If you find yourself dropping after 10 degrees of motion, then you're not getting a lot of stimulus through the hamstring. So what you can do is you can have a resistance band, or someone can hold onto your t-shirt almost as you're going down. Now that's more difficult as they're holding the hands. If it's a third person in your household, they can kind of assist you all the way down. So you really want to do this exercise. It's great for stimulation of hamstrings, but you do want to get some good range as you're going through the motion. That's really important, because we don't want to be just strong in short range. We want to get strong in sort of a longer range, if you like. Okay, now we go on to split stance RDL. So you're going to need weights for this again. So again, you can see as our lateral phases of this block, we're trying to load up a little bit as best we can. So setup here is important. You want to kind of have your foot, if I just go side on, so here's a neutral stance, and then one step forward. You can see like I'm a foot away from myself. So this is too far, this is too narrow, just a little bit, about toe in front, yeah. Make sure you're nice and wide as well. So if you get into that position, yeah, and go a little bit wider just to keep, as in, yeah, split yourself this way, and then you're loading up on the leg that's in front, and you're trying to keep a nice posture as you go through the motion here again. Yeah. So you want to keep a good back, yeah, so you're on a good back position, then come up, so that's fine. Keep this nice and strong through here as you go through range. So we call this like a hip dominant exercise. We did a knee dominant one when we were doing the Nordic, so that was kind of from the knee. This is now more proximal, so I mean more closer to the hip. So this is more a hip dominant exercise for the hamstrings. Okay, so you're working kind of both ends if you like. Yeah, and then swap each leg. And now reps and sets and all that are going to be put on the PDF. So have a look at them, whatever you can do in the moment. But the reps and sets will be all on there. Yep, so that's good. And now we're going on to our last 2 exercises, which are our more power jumpy based exercise. So the first one is a lateral jump lunge. Now it's a normal jump lunge, so you know what the normal jump lunge is just up and down, just up and down, but we're going to move laterally when we do this. So you're down and you're moving to the left, trying to keep your stability, trying to keep your balance if you best you can. So off you go. We're going to go 6 lunges, so that'll be 3 each leg as you move down the track. Now, don't need to move massively. Yeah, but we're moving as we go. Yeah, keep going, go into left and right, left and right, left and right. Can be quite a tricky exercise to do, quite a challenging exercise to do. And bear in mind, you're always trying to generate height as well. So we go back now, do one more back. Try and get some height, use your hands as well. Yeah, so when you get competent at it, you want to use your hands to generate your force. You know? So fixating your hands here is not utilizing them. And okay, it might be more demand of the hip, but now we're at a point where I want you to start utilizing your hands. So when you're going down, you swing it down. When you're coming up, you're using them to come up again. Okay, now onto sort of single leg. That was single leg, if you like, split stance, but still maybe double 2 contacts. This is just 1 contact at any one time. You're going to go forward, so it's left onto right all the time. Okay, or the other way around, right onto left. So you go forward, 1 jump, lateral, 2 jumps, forward, 3 jumps, and lateral, 4th jump. Okay, now this is all about sliding across the surface, right? It's not about generating too much height. We're thinking about, especially when we're going laterally, if you got the ball and you're trying to evade an opponent or whatever, you're trying to get across away from him. You're trying to get lateral displacement as much as possible to open the space for you. You don't really want to be jumping up. Yes, okay, it's good to generate force upwards, but This is all about avoiding the tackle or avoiding a challenge or getting away from your opponent or whatever. So when you jump forward and you're jumping laterally, try and slide yourself across, not do too much up jump, if that makes sense. Okay, let's have a go. Forward, left, laterally shift, forward, laterally shift. And make sure it is lateral, because common mistake we've just seen a little bit there. So go forward, and then the lateral jump is kind of forward and lateral. So just make it completely lateral. And that's a challenge in itself, to be able to absorb the forward momentum and then shift it laterally as well. You know what I mean? Rather than 45 degrees is a lot easier to do, because it demands less force to decelerate, to generate left or right mechanics. Okay, have another go, just the same one, just to show it home. So forward, lateral, good. Now, like anything, the more you practice these type of jumps, the more benefit and the more transfer you're going to get, because you get better at them, you get more force production, you get more force being applied to the floor, if you like, and then you get more purchase and more distance, and that's going to benefit you altogether. So message really is to make sure we're competent in exercise, then build up on, hopefully we're going to add some strength now, but just make sure the movement is competent. So if you're, say for instance, you're doing a squat and all you find is you're shifting onto one weight, I don't really want you to load that, because there's a problem there. There's an issue with your hip that needs to be addressed, and I don't like loading dysfunction. I don't think that benefits you in the long run. But once you are competent, once you have good range, once you have good flexion, good extension of the hip and everything else, and the ankle and everything else, then go and load it. Goblet squat, front squat, tempo, whatever it might be. Same with the forward lunges and everything else in the program. But it's the last of the development. It's the last block of the development phase, and the last block of kind of true strength. The next phase is going to be more sort of adding in more velocity and more power-based stuff, and shorten the exercise. So keep up the consistency work, and I know you're going to go back to sport very soon, so just keep up the consistency of doing the program properly, and keep yourself on the pitch for longer. So hope you're enjoying it. Stay safe, and see you again soon.